Welcome back, everyone. In this video, I intended to start looking at aggregates, sums, and averages, things of that nature. And I wanted to start by pulling in a public data set. What I discovered, it was kind of cumbersome to do so. And so I thought it would be useful to show you how to pull in some data that you might have in a CSV file into SQL Server, some of the things you might run into, and some tips and tricks I've learned along the way. Let's get started. So what we're going to do today is look a little bit at how to grab some publicly accessible data. What I'm going to do is go to data.gov. You can see here, government's open data, 352,000 data sets available. I found one that was interesting. If I go to recently added data sets, and you can go here and there's all kinds of different tags, a lot of environmental data, different pieces of information that the government is making available. I'm going to select CSV, and we'll go ahead and filter that down. 29,000 data sets. And the one I'm looking for is actually some information from the city of San Francisco, right here, sheriff jail bookings. So I'll click on that. It gives you some metadata about the information, and then you can go ahead and download it. So you can just download it right here, and let's open it up in Excel. Give you a little bit of an idea of what we're talking about. So select all the columns. If you're not aware of this, double click, sorts it all out for you, expands it all out. So we have the counts of bookings by age group going all the way back to 2012. So we have the 18 to 24 year olds, 25 to 29, keeps on going, 30 to 34. We also have down here, after we get through that, by ethnicity, and male and female breakdown, and then by race, all starting from 2012 through 2024. So it's a good data set. It's about 3,622 or so rows. And let's see what it takes to pull this into SQL Server. Okay, so here we are in Management Studio, and we have the SQL Professor database. What you want to do here is right-click, go to Tasks, and we're going to do this a couple different ways. The first time we're going to say Import Flat File. Pops up a little wizard here. Go ahead and hit Next. The input file is our text file here. And let's just name it just Sheriff Jail Bookings. We'll remove that one. Next, you can say to preview the data here. Looks what we want. You can modify any of the columns if you want to change the data type. It already scanned the data and suggested these data types. Summary, finish, pretty quickly inserted the data. Hit close. Remember to refresh. Here's our table, right click, select the top 1,000 rows. There they are. You can also remove this. Select all of the rows, and here's our 3,621. So fairly straightforward. The other way to do this, right-click, Tasks, and Import Data. This is a more generalized way of importing data into SQL Server. It pulls up this import and export wizard, and it's a little bit more nuanced. First thing you need to do is select the source, flat file, pick our file. Comes up with text files by default. And you can, for this example, let's leave all these defaults like they are. There's our columns. You have to select the destination. The other one already assumed you were going into SQL Server. I don't know why you would do it otherwise, but that's the defaults. So you hit the OLE DB provider, database name, server name, hit next. It pops up this, and now we need to give it a table name. So you say, let's do this _1 right here. At this point, you could edit the mappings if you want. And you'll notice by default, it just made everything a varchar 50 characters in length. Next, you don't have to worry about saving it for rerunning it. You hit next again, finish it. There we go. It was successful. Hit close, refresh again, and now we have two tables. The one thing I did want to show you is what happens with some of the other options under the import data. So let's do this again. Pulls up the wizard. Our source is a flat file. We're going to select the flat file. And over here, if we go to columns, where is it? Under advanced. And if you say suggest types, okay, it's going to scan the first couple hundred rows, suggest some data types. Seems reasonable, right? We go ahead and do that. And now let's go ahead and select all the rest of the defaults. Destination. Change the name again. We'll call this one _2. Next. Next. And let's go ahead and run it. Well, this time we had a problem. So if you look at this, hit messages, and truncation occurred. The import failed on the source, and this is important because it would truncate on row 1512. Now, so what happened here? You can close this, go back, go all the way back to the source. That's important. All the way back here. And let's look at what it picked. It picked a 9 width string for the demographic group because age group is 9 characters right here. This is the beginning of the rows. Demographic subgroup, it picked 5 characters. Well, that works well enough in the beginning here, but remember, and it looked at the first 200 rows. So all the way up to here, it's fine. All the way up until you get down to, what was that, 1520 or so? Now what happens? 1512. Now you start to run into a problem here. This is, still fits. Well, actually, it doesn't. And this certainly doesn't fit into 5 characters. So it chokes there. And you have to go all the way back to that source and fix it. So let's go ahead and put 50 here and 50 here. Now we hit next, takes that default again. Don't forget it will reset this. So let's make this bookings 3. At this point, if you click on edit mappings, you see it pulls across the 50s. Next, next, next. Finish. And this time it was successful. Right click, refresh. The other thing to keep in mind is it did create that table. Even though it wasn't able to populate it, it did create that table. So a couple things to watch out for if you use the import data. For importing a flat file, it kind of takes away a little bit of that ambiguity. So again, you have 2 tasks, import data and import flat file. And both of them will get you ultimately being able to import data into SQL Server. So now that we have this data, what do we want to do with it? How could we start to analyze it? That will be the subject of the next video. So please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.